Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel. There are people visiting the residence where I'm at the moment. That's why you hear music in the background. That's not my music. So if you hear music, now you understand where it comes from. Look, about generational curses. I've made videos about them, so look them. Look for transgenerational violence or transgenerational conflict. Bro, you type that in at the search on my channel, then you can find videos about generational curses. And I believe I've also made a playlist about generational curses, but you can check it out for yourself. Just understand that a generational curse is an historic conflict that's working out through other people. Okay, let's say that you had Frank, and Frank and the people in that village, they murdered, let's say, Zach. Let's say it's an English village, okay? And the people in the village knew about the crime and they hid it. So Frank and the people of the men of the village murdered Zach. And now everyone carried this anger of why they killed Zach. They were blaming one another. So they had kids. Those children grew up in that tense environment. So the children adapted to that tense environment. So after a while, the original perpetrators died. The new generation of young men, they grew up in a tense environment, and that tension caused them to seek relief. And that seeking of relief led to conflict. So now they are in a state of conflict all of the time. And there are also homicides that occurs because of it. They have children also that grow up in a similar environment. It passes on. And there are coping mechanisms like drugs and alcohol they use to cope with stuff. Let's say, well, in the third generation, you have Bobby, a female, that decides, I want to get out of here. But here's the thing. There were demons attached to that environment when she grew up for almost three generations. And those demons are also attached to her because she had wrong thinking patterns to the way she grew up. So when she's in college in another town, those demons are around. And those demons are going to seek for similar demons in order to continue the violence that was going on. So when Bobby meets a guy that she ends up marrying, it's a guy that's domestically abusive, just like her own father was domestically abusive. What's going on? It's the paranormal side of it. That other guy had wrong thinking patterns, he grew up in an oppressive environment, and there were demons attached to him. But the demons attached to that guy communicate with the demons that were with Bobby, and they drew the two together. So Bobby was asking after the divorce how she ever could have married a man like that. It wasn't even her. It were the demons were the demons putting them together. But Bobby knew nothing about the spirit world. She's an atheist, so she doesn't know anything. And because of that, she was easily trapped, and the generation curse continued. Now it's not in that same village, which grew into a town, now it's somewhere else. That's the thing with the generational curse. Unless you are delivered, so the demonic entities are completely removed from around you, and the soul ties are broken, unless you are delivered, that conflict will seek a way to draw you back. So it can be that you are from a community where, for example, gender dysphoria is an issue, where a lot of people are unhappy with their natural sexuality. And that's why homosexuality, transgenderism, pedophilia, and all those things are rampant in the community where you reside. It's something generational, and it's passed on. That doesn't mean that everyone is now involved in gender dysphoria, but it still affects the community. Now you can move from that community to somewhere else, but if you're not delivered, those entities, those familiar spirits that follow you will seek. Let's say you move from, for example, the Netherlands all the way to Chile. Well, those entities that follow you, they will communicate with demons in Chile to attract people towards you with gender dysphoria. And then you think, what? Why do I keep encountering such people over and over again? You need to be delivered. And even when you are delivered, unclean spirits will still try to drag you into the negative. So understand that deliverance is quite important, and that's why it ought to be renewed in your mind. And watch out for the following. There are deliverance ministries out there that set people free with paranormal aid, but trap them in worse. You go to these deliverance ministries and things happen. Things are resolved in your personal life. So you think, praise the Lord, it works. It's from the Lord. You're not delivered, you are relieved. And while you are relieved, the demons are on a hold. And the demons even cooperate with leaving you alone. But meanwhile that you are left alone, you have this ease, the unclean spirits are planning other stuff. And after a while, you will get a surprise. So, I'm not saying that all the deliverance ministries are like this, but many of them are not in line with Christ. And understand this, your trust shouldn't be in a deliverance ministry. Your faith ought to be in Christ. Deliverance is an inside job. It begins from the inside. Many people are looking for external change. No, you need to be transformed from the inside, and the external will change automatically. There will be resistance. It will not be easy, but it will happen. Well, that's why it's also important to evaluate the people you yoke with. You can have contact with unbelievers, you can have contact with all types of people, but you cannot be yoked with everyone. Or as I mentioned before, you walk in love towards everyone. You operate in forgiveness towards everyone, but you can't walk in love with everyone. Because if that other individual you walk in love with is not delivered, or he or she has no interest whatsoever in deliverance, you just want to be left alone to get along with society, then know that when you walk with such an individual, unclean spirits have access to you through that individual. And that individual will become a tool of the enemy to draw you into the negative, into destruction. Look, you walk in love towards everyone, but you can't walk in love with everyone. Understand this by now. That being said, agree with Christ. It's by agreeing with Christ that you get delivered from generational curses or transgenerational violence. Well, that being said, be at peace.